For this video, we are going to learn about the Allied's balance sheet. So we are going to examine inside and we are going to look into what information can we get from the balance sheet issued by the Allied. So this is an Allied Food Products balance sheet, December, a comparative one, 2018 and 2017. So it says here that this is one of the observation coming from this book, that the Allied has a 2 billion assets, which is presented in this way, 2 billion. So this is the total assets, but that 2 billion is composed of 1 billion. Okay, by the way, in the presentation of billions of assets, they are to be rounded, okay, to like you need to like to eliminate the 6 digit in here in the presentation. Okay, so in here, as you can see, the balance sheet are in the current assets. You can see that the total assets of this balance sheet is composed of 1 billion coming from the current and 1 billion coming from the non-current. Compared to 2017, the amount of the total assets before is lower than the current. So it means to say that the company is growing, okay? But we don't know how it grew. How did they come up with these assets like this one? Did they earn this one from operation, or is there something that happened on their capital contribution or the liability? Because in financing assets, there are two sources that will create it. Okay, first is it's coming from the liability, and second is coming from the equity. And inside the equity, the increase of the equity is not only coming from the contribution of the capital, which is the paid in capital, this one, common stock, but also it's coming from the retained earnings, which is this one is coming from the operation. Okay, again, this is coming from the operation. Okay, so for now we can say that in like a short analysis, we can say that the assets grew by 190 and the total asset grew by 320. Okay, this is the increase or decrease. Okay, in comparative, and the breakdown, you can see that the cash and cash equivalents decreased by 70, while the accounts receivable increased by 60 and inventories is 200. Okay, that's why it turned to 190, and the net plant assets increased by 190. And you can do that also here on the other sections like this. So this is the total current asset. Okay, and see, total is increased by 90. And you can here also evaluate if there's a movement on the equity section. On the paid in capital, there's none, but in the retained earnings, there is. So the equity is driven by the increase in retained earnings. Okay, and also, so here we can explain that the increase in the total assets are coming from the liability, which has a total increase of 260, and portion of that is coming from the earnings. That's how we read the balance sheet. Okay. Okay, now the other analysis here, let's have this one. Several additional points about the balance sheet should be noted. Okay, let's take this one by one. Number one is cash versus other assets. Yeah. In cash versus other assets, what the book is trying to emphasize is that in this composition, this is the only amount, the 10 billion, that you can spend for something that you need to spend. Okay, because these accounts receivables actually are generated from credit sales. Like if you extend on account sales to your customers, then you can have these accounts receivable. But you have no certainty whether this is to be collected within 30 days, 45 days, or 15 days, like that. So it varies, okay? But the certainty of having the cash, which will tell you that you're a liquid or not, I mean, highly liquid or not, if you have a cash like this, 10 billion, okay? However, in a total cash of 1 billion, or sorry, this is 10 million. Total cash of 1 billion shows that you have only 10 about available 10 million to spend. Inventories is depending upon, inventories are waited to be sold, then it is, there's no guarantee that when you sell the inventories it is converted automatically into cash. So there's another step for that, because probably it will be converted inventories when you sell that, and could be converted into accounts receivable. Then you have to wait some time in order to convert it into cash. Then once it is cash, then you are now purely liquid, and you can spend them at any time you want. Okay. So therefore, if you want to issue some checks, you cannot issue the 1 billion. Of course, you are limited only to 10 million. Okay, checks, amount of checks.